This is hour 6 of our Beginner Clubbell Training Series, and today we are working on mills. This is a move that everybody wants to learn as soon as they get started doing clubbelling, and it's because it looks so cool, and it really is. But I will say, it is a compound, very complex movement, and you need to make sure that you have the strength, control, and shoulder mobility to actually do this single-handed before you attempt it. So I highly recommend that you go through hours 1 through 5 of this series and make sure you are capable of doing 10 sets of 10 of every exercise on each side before you attempt these. I will be using 5 and 10-pound clubs just to show you how it works, and I'll leave a link in the description below for where you can get yours. I always recommend that you start with a lower weight just because you will feel more confident, you will feel comfortable when you're using that lower weight, knowing you're capable of doing this move. It's a great way to practice the technique and make sure you know how this flow is before you move to a heavier weight. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click the bell for notifications, like this video, and be sure to come back to this Clubbell playlist for more. So mills are all about rotation. We are doing circles and pendulums, but now we're going in front of the body and behind the shoulder / behind the head. So you really have to think about making sure you have enough space as you turn to get that club over. One of my most important cues is to spread the earth with your feet. I say it in every single video because it's really important. The more you spread the earth with your feet, the easier it is to do everything else. It also automatically, as you spread the earth, you're not spreading the earth, everything is fine. You might lock out your knees. You're not going to do that when you're doing a mill. Nice soft bend in your knees, pulling those inner thighs forward, and you're automatically going to tuck your buns under. So not spreading the earth, spreading the earth. You get a nice little squeeze. These inner thighs come forward, so important, especially when you get to heavier weights. So I'm going to start with a 5-pound club. Just to show the move, you can always start with a 3-pound club. And as you get to do the movement, you can really, try doing it even with different kinds of weights once you kind of get the hang of it. I like a 5-pound club because it's usually enough for everyone to start. Part of what you want in a mill is to be able to feel the pull of the weight, right? I am going to be twisting, rotating, especially my trunk. So we have this beautiful order position that we've talked about in hours 1 through 5. I want to make sure you would not really be able to see my forearm in a mirror, and I definitely recommend doing these moves in front of a mirror because it helps you see. You get a lot of feedback from looking at yourself. So this is the order position, right? This is also an order position. It's an open order, but my elbow is still really tucked into my hip, right? Still strong, not quite as strong as here, but still strong. This is also an order position across my body. And as we do these mills, you will find that that is the position you end up in. So first we're going to start with a circle, right? I'm starting on my right hand, and I'm going to go inside. So 2 different mills that we're working on today, inside mills and outside mills. And that's just where the direction that I'm starting the movement in. So inside is across my body. I'm doing a circle. Hey, I'm in that order position that I just showed you. Spreading the earth with my feet, tucking my pelvis under, nice soft bend with my knees. And now I'm going to go up and over this shoulder. Make sure you're breathing. So you see that little tiny bit of rotation that's happening. I'm looking at the club here, and now I'm looking at the club as it lands here. There's that tiny bit of turn that happens, right? I'm going to do a few of them so you can see them. We're doing 5 sets of 5 today, so you really get a good feel of what it should look like. And I will say, if at any point it feels off, it feels wrong, you feel like you're not doing something right, move down and wait, try again until you know that it feels right, because you'll definitely notice that if you're doing this, it doesn't feel right, right? If your legs are locked out and your chest is forward, doesn't feel right. You also might hit yourself in the head. We don't want any of those things. We want to make sure we're safe and we're doing our very best. So, again, finding that position that we've been working on for hours 1 through 5. It's not like those were just 1 through 5 hours. We're not doing this for 5 hours. We're probably doing this for like 500 hours to get to here. So, tucking that pelvis under, nice soft bend in the knees, spreading the earth with my feet. I'm in order, the regular standard order, going around, coming to here, this open order, and now I'm going to go up and over that shoulder. Really spreading the earth will help as you go around. Trying to breathe out as you pull back down, because that is the hardest part. Nice, beautiful circle, but we're open as opposed to ending here. We're here, looking at that club, pulling it around, here, looking around. So, you see my head turn. I'm looking at the club, I'm watching it. I know where I want it to go. And as I move my head, my body turns. Oh my goodness. How does that work? It's natural. That's part of what we do all the time. Going to that other side. Left side, often a little bit wonkier, unless you're left-handed. So take your time here. Make sure that you're really working on form. Tucking that pelvis under, spreading the earth with your feet. Nice soft bend in the knees, finding that order position. Order is not here, right? It's not down here. It's not like that. Here. If it is here, it's still that beautiful 90-degree angle, right? Here, beautiful 90-degree angle. That's what we're looking for. So again, we're going inside and across the body. Tuck that pelvis under. I say these things to myself all the time because at some point as you move, you kind of forget one. There's so many different things to think about that especially that spreading the earth thing will often be the thing that you forget about. So just remind yourself, spread the earth. Here we go. Beautiful circle. Open, behind the head, closed. Circle. I'm in that open order position. It's going to go over my shoulder. Here, pull down. One more time. Here. So this is the hardest part, right? This over behind your shoulder thing, we do a lot of work with this with shield casts, gamma casts, but this is where it gets really hard because you're also doing it one-handed, right? So especially here on that weaker side, you want to make sure this position is strong, that order position. And then as you go over your head, still spreading the earth with your feet, or over your shoulder, I should say, here, you're really engaging your core to pull down and pull that weight all the way down into this order position across your body. I'm going to do this same exact thing facing the wall so that you can see me, because if you were in a class with me, you'd probably be watching me from behind, which is much easier for some people to follow along and figure out the movement. So here we go, same exact thing. I'm starting on that right hand this time. I'm in that order position. Feet are a little more than hip width apart, tucking that pelvis under, spreading the earth with my feet, nice little soft bend. I'm going inside and across the body for that circle, and then over, here, here, around the head, beautiful. Because it's a lighter weight, I don't specifically need the rotation as much, but you want to use it now so that when you get to a heavier weight, you do know how to use it, because especially as I twist the other direction, I'm helping my arm pull that weight down. We'll go for one more on this side. So you have built-in practice moments where you can breathe, where you can work on each individual part of this, right? Anytime you're back in order, you can take that second to make sure you're in the right position before you move on to the next. As you get better and more comfortable with it, it turns into something much more flowy, and you don't have to specifically stop. But if you can stop at each of these pause points, then you know that you are actually stronger when you do get into the flow, right? The actual stopping is really hard. Holding this position, very difficult. This takes a lot of work. This takes a lot of strength as you do it. If you want to just talk for a while holding this order position, you start to notice, okay, well, it's getting hard now. So allow yourself to practice finding those pause points, because if you can fully stop the club, then when you get to flowing, it's so much easier. So we're going to do the left side, my weaker side, facing the wall so that you can see how it looks from behind me. So I'm getting inside and across the body, tucking that pelvis under, spreading the earth with your feet. Every single time I'm thinking about these things before I move. Finding that order position. I'm going inside and across the body. Circle, finding that outside order. Behind, pull back. Taking the time to breathe. Stop. Pull over and back down. Here. Pull over, back down. Pull over and down. Pull over and down. So that twist is really helping me. You go too hard, you go too fast with that rotation, you see what happens, right? It gets a little wonky. Imagine with a heavier weight. So you want to make sure you have control throughout, right? I'm here, I'm going inside and across the body. And this is great for me to show on this side because I am weaker on my left side. I know it. So I need to make sure I'm controlling it a little bit more. One more. So as you're rotating, you know that you want to have rotation. You see this happening, this twist happening in my body. By the way, love doing this little move. Feels great on the back. But this rotation is really what we're looking for. You just don't want to do so much that the club is flying out of your hand or is out of control in any sense. It's a weight. It's heavy. We have to have respect for that. So we're going to do another round with the 5-pound club just to start to really understand this technique. We should kind of naturally move into these movements if you've done hours 1 through 5 because we know them. The body actually has the muscle memory to do each of these moves. We've already done them in lots of different versions before. This is a circle. It is a pendulum. It is a shield cast. That's all we're doing, right? It is a shoulder cast. Now we're just putting all of those different steps together and creating a mill. Here we go. We're going inside and across the body. I'm going to go sideways so you can see that angle of it. I'm here in order position, going across my body. Open order. Going over, pulling down. Again, this is going to be the hardest part. So you really want to think about if you were wearing a cardigan or something, you have these sort of top buttons right in here, right? And you really want to make sure instead of allowing your abdomen to flail and open, even though this might feel really nice sometimes, we can stretch that out differently. You want to be buttoning those top buttons, right? Especially underneath your breastbone, here. So the core is engaged the entire time. What happens when we do that? Notice the hips turn as we do that. Same exact move. Here. Now I'm spreading the earth with my feet as I do it. It all makes me feel like I am stronger here. So that's what we're looking for. I'll do 3 more on this side. In this direction, I'm still going inside mills, going around, overhead, here, around, over your head. 1 more. I say over the head, it's not actually over my head, right? There's a big difference between this and over the shoulder, which is technically what we're doing. It's going over that one shoulder and pulling back. It's a nice tight little loop. I'll do the left side so that you can see that as well. Kind of like a 3/4 angle. Let's see if that works. So I'm in that order position. I am going across my body, tucking my pelvis under, spreading the earth with my feet. Nice soft bend in the knees. Around in that circle, coming into that order position. Here. That's 3, 4, 5, and rest. So that was 2 sets of 5 inside mills, right? I'm gonna move into this heavier weight so you get to see how the weight pulls the body a little bit more. And again, make sure you feel comfortable with it. You don't have to try to do 5 or 10 immediately. You might just go for 1 or 2. Make sure you feel right. And then you can always adjust as needed. So, this is a 10-pound club facing forward first and foremost. Everything is the same in terms of that setup. Squeezing my glutes, turning that pelvis forward, spreading the earth with my feet. Trying to make sure they're kind of in a line. Right? You don't want to be here yet. It's not how you start learning the movement. Try to give yourself as few different elements as possible. This should feel very much like doing a circle, which you've probably done a lot of by now. So here we go. I'm going to swing it through my legs and find that order position. Same exact movement, going inside and across my body. Find that outside order. Pull over. It's heavier. Here we go. 2. So I need that rotation a little bit more. Looking at the club, turn my head, look the other way. Naturally, my body is twisting and turning. Breathe, exhale on that pull over. 1 more on this side. Right? Do actually feel the pullover is the hardest part, I think, because I'm doing it one-handed. I've done all kinds of gamma casts and shield casts, two-handed for the most part. I do recommend starting to work on them as you feel stronger and stronger. Try doing a few with one hand. It's hard, especially when you're moving up in weight. But it's always worth practicing and seeing where any glitches are, where any kind of weakness is, especially in your shoulder. You notice how much you're opening up that shoulder. Some people don't have this mobility, but this is what the clubbell is amazing for. Really trains us from the inside out to have stronger, more stable bodies. So left side. Find that order position, tucking my pelvis under, spreading the earth with your feet, going inside and across the body. Here, over, here. Around, make sure to be pulling down. Tucked in, I got those top buttons working right here. Those are really working on that pullover. 1 more. So you definitely see that as I'm doing these with a 10-pound club, it takes more rotation to get that twist, to get that pull over. I'm going to do it from behind. So you can see me moving as if you were following me, right? Starting on that right hand. Finding that order position. Inside and across the body. Overhead. 1. 2. Making sure you're breathing. Let it make noise. It helps to get you to stop, right? 1 more. I'm going to do 1 more just because. Here we go. Ha. Switching sides. Left side now. Same exact movement. Going inside and across the body. Tuck that pelvis under. Spread the earth with your feet. And finding that open order. Come around. A lot more rotation, right? It takes more because of the heavier weight. Make sure you're following that club. I know where it's going to be. That's where I want to look. So, that was 4 sets of 4. Or 4 sets of 5, sorry. If at any point you feel like, especially that weaker side, gets a little crinkly, something feels like it might be not right, take it back down. You can take it back down to a 5. You can even take it down to a 1, right? It helps to have something in your hand so you can feel the movement, but you can use pretty much anything that you can hold. It's a little bit different because you're not worrying about what's going to hit your head, but I'm going to show you how I do this with a water bottle, just in case. So you're continuing to work on the movement without worrying about the weight. So I'm just going to use a water bottle. Same basic movement. Maybe it's a pound, maybe it's 2. It doesn't really matter how heavy it is. I'm doing all of the same things. Tucking that pelvis under, spreading the earth with my feet, arms in that order position. I'm going inside and across the body. The circle doesn't feel as big. That's okay. I'm finding that open order position. And now I'm going to go over my shoulder. It's a lot easier because the weight is less, but that's fine. Here. Same concept. If you feel any kind of elbow pain, wrist pain, because this is a lot, right? You're working on grip strength as you do this. There's a lot of shoulder stability work happening here. I just want to show you that you can do pretty much anything. You don't always need to have a big ass weight. Sometimes it's more about working on that technique. So that when you come back to it, and you are working on that weight, going left side now, finding that order position, going inside and across the body. Here, overhead, 1. Here we go, 1 more. And rest. So that was 5 sets of 5 inside mills. Now we're going to do outside mills. You think it's exactly the same. They're mills and reverse mills, right? I'm calling them inside and outside because then it gives you direction for where you want to start your movement. It just makes it a little easier in my brain because this is a lot of new stuff and there's a lot to think about. So, outside mill means you're going to start going outside, just like we did with outside circles. Outside and away from the body, right? So I'm going to start with a 5 again, so that we can see what it looks like, and start working on that technique without worrying about too much weight. So I'm finding that order position, just like before. I'm going to go outside and away from the body. So that circle is almost the same. I'm ending up here, not quite here, we're just here because I'm gonna go over this shoulder again. Here and pull down. So it's much more specific. That tiny little turn, it's kind of a little loop-de-loop behind my shoulder. Outside. Notice that elbow flares out. From here, nice tight order position. Still tucked in by my hip, over my head. Twisting, my body is rotating to follow the club. One more. Outside mills, very similar, but they feel very different actually as you do them. One version of the mill will usually be really easy for you, or sort of more, I guess, natural, and then the other will be harder. That's just how it is. Your brain's like, this makes sense, but now you want me to go the other way? No, no, no. Same thing with left and right, right? For me, left side is definitely goofy. It takes a little bit longer for me to get the movement, but once I do, I don't have to relearn as much. So, outside and away from the body, tucking that pelvis under, spreading the earth with your feet. Away, here's that circle, going over that shoulder, and turn. Here, over the shoulder, turn. The turn does so much of the work for you. You're twisting your body. That rotation literally helps pull the club over your shoulder. And also, you're still engaging that core the entire time. Here, right? So I'm gonna do the same thing where you look at me from behind so you can see the movement that way. Starting with my right side. 5 pounds to start. Tucking that pelvis under, spreading the earth with my feet. I'm going outside and away from the body. Find that nice, tight inside order position. And then over. Pull over. That rotation is everything. But if you rotate too fast, too hard, and you want it to be kind of like a nice, explosive, tight movement, but there's a chance that you could lose control a little bit. So you still want to have control. Mostly that comes from keeping your butt tight from spreading the earth. It keeps everything engaged. As soon as you let go of something, when you go from here to here, it just makes it much more kind of wild. So again, outside and across and away from the body, here. Tiny little loop-de-loop as you pull down to bring it back into open order. Switching sides, left side now. Going outside and across my body. Resetting my body, tuck that pelvis under. Spread the earth with my feet. Outside and away. And then overhead. Outside. Find that order. Overhead. Pull back down as you rotate. One more. Beautiful. So we're going to move into the 10-pound club so that you see even 5 pounds is a drastic difference, especially then you get into the other clubs, the 15, 20, 25 pounds. That's a lot of weight. So it's really important that you have control, and it all comes from this rotation. There's so much of it that's coming from this part of your body. So core has to be working really hard. Hips are working, butt is engaged. Full body work here. Starting with my right side. Finding that order position. Going outside and away from my body. Overhead. You may find that doing these, your elbow gets a little angry. Normal. But if it is angry, certainly move down in weight, right? This is a difficult movement, and the practice of clubbelling helps to strengthen, but it's totally normal for you to have some growing pains as you start this practice. Left side, tucking my pelvis under, spreading the earth with your feet, outside and away from the body. Here. So that rotation is really everything. I'm just turning from one direction to the other, but that's how I'm pulling that weight over my shoulder. Really using my feet. They're pushing into the ground. They're spreading the earth. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm facing backwards, or facing the wall, I should say. Tucking my pelvis under, spreading the earth with my feet, going outside and away from the body. One more. So you really see how that little twist helps pull the club down from behind your shoulder. Left side. Spreading the earth with your feet, tucking that pelvis under, outside and away from the body. Try to find this pause point, because this, even though it's really hard work, it is a great way to strengthen. Here, take that moment. Here. So as you get more and more comfortable, you see how the flow starts to happen. It just becomes sort of natural. You can find that pause point without literally stopping the club and losing all that momentum. But make sure you try stopping the club, at least at the beginning, so that you know you can. It's an important thing to know, I have control over this weight, because as you let it continue to swing and build up more and more force, it becomes harder, right? It gets heavier to try and stop it. I don't think I can go that way. Let's go this way. 3/4, right side. I'm going outside and away from my body. Tucking that pelvis under, spreading the earth with your feet. Here, pull over. Pull over. Core is engaged. I'm not letting it go too far behind me that it's hard to pull back, right? I want to have control. So I'm here. All of this is tight. Left side. Last round. Just giving you some opportunities to see it in all kinds of different angles so you know what it should look like, and hopefully you have a sense of how it should feel if you've been doing hours 1 through 5. So I'm going to be here, finding that beautiful warrior position, going outside and away from the body. Tuck that pelvis under. Every time I remind myself, even now, outside and away. Always breathing, so that eventually it looks a little more flowy, right? But with control. You don't want it to be flaily. You don't want it to be kind of wiggling all over the place. So again, same exact idea. You can bring it down to a much lighter weight. You can grab a dumbbell just to feel how your shoulder opens up. That in and of itself is a lot, right? So using a water bottle, I'm finding that order position. I'm going outside, nice big circle, around, outside, over that shoulder. Very similar movement, so that you really just get what your shoulder is doing, what you're asking of your body. Other side, just to see it a couple times. Here. And then when you come back to doing it with the weight, it gets easier. Every time. Thanks so much for being here. And hopefully this helps you get into your mills so that they do get smooth. And you're just kind of flowing as you go. And you turn it into a movement meditation. Still breathing. That's the most important part, right?